Hey, everybody. Welcome to another Tuesday night edition of Chicago Corner. Thanks for joining the show tonight. Lots of interesting news to wrap up for the beginning part of this week. And as has been my habit these days, I am joined by my co-host tonight, Mr. Kit Cabello.
How y'all doing? I helped myself to a nice little refreshing beverage just before I went on air. Good thing I stopped just right before we went live. So, hello everyone.
Okay.
I just came back from the Hard Lens Media Studio, 99 Perspectives, and I gotta say, some great things are in the works. I'm really happy with what's happening there. I'm just in an overall in a good mood. I know we're doing Chicago Corner. Last Chicago Corner was a little bit tough due to the circumstances of Friday's show. But as always, I just got to say, I love the intro to this show. I'm loving the fact that this channel is growing and that very soon we're going to be having a big celebration pretty soon. But I want to keep that all in the hush right now. But all in all, thank you so much, Jerry, for having me on board.
That intro really puts us in a good mood when we start the show that I hope we can carry out to the tail end, given
that's
we talk about.
True. Yes.
Art Medina in the chat says Kit is the Dennis Franz of Chicago. I think he's remarking on your accent. Your very, very Chicago accent, Kit.
Well, I take pride in being from Chicago. I love everything about my city. This is my home. After all, there's still hope for Chicago. There's good people in Gotham. Jerry, you have a little situation with your mic. Just go ahead and fix that real quick. While we were waiting for that, yes, I can hear you now, buddy.
For some reason, my mic sometimes glitches in and out. I actually caught it on this end because I saw the mute button went on. But please go ahead.
Well, no, I didn't mean to take. I was waiting for you to fix your mic. So there you go. It's in the show. You're the captain of the show. You take full charge. No, there you go. No,
that's fine. Yeah, and if I do tend to have my audio drop out, I'm not sure why that's happening on this end. I know all my connections are solid. So I got a Slack message today from Lainey that said that I think that she's managed to get through the first premiere broadcast on the radio station. Do you know anything about that?
Yes. So there's still some work happening with our radio station that we are building at the 99 Perspective Studio, but the good news is that it is up and it's basically standing up on its legs. There's still some kinks we got to take out of it, of course, but it's coming into fruition as it should.
Good. Very good to hear. All right. Well, let me transition into our first story for the night before our other little co-host happens to step on either my keyboard or knock my audio out as he's kind of making his way across the stage here. There he is, Oreo.
Hey, you mean the official producer, not unofficial, but official producer.
I think we're just going to have to call him the mascot from now on.
Yeah, pretty much that's it.
All right. So I don't know if you saw this in the news yet, Kit. Let me bring up this story. Oh, please, Oreo, don't sit on the keyboard. Hang on a second. I think I just lost a screen here that I had up. Okay, so we're talking about, let me bring this up on the screen here on my end while little guy here decides he's gonna lounge in front of me. Share the screen. Here we go. Here's our first story. Now we're going to get into Mayor Lightfoot's take on all this, but let me read from the story right now, because as we know, carjackings have been rising at an alarming level here in the city, and this comes to us from the Chicago Tribune, and this is Gregory Pratt and Paige Fry reporting. Let's see here. Come on. Scroll up. All right. Chicago is expanding its carjacking task force as residents remain concerned about high violent crime, Mayor Lori Lightfoot and Police Superintendent David Brown announced. Brown said the task force is currently staffed during 2 out of 3 watches, but will soon be staffed 24 hours a day, with officers focused on arresting carjackers. In the last year and a half in particular, there's a really, very real and pervasive fear of carjacking across our city, our region, and our state, Lightfoot said at a news conference. Over the past 2 years, Chicago has experienced major spikes in violent crime. The city recorded more than 800 homicides in 2021, its worst year in at least 2 decades. Carjackings in Chicago rose about 135% to 1,415 in 2020 from 603 in 2019, according to a Tribune review of police information. The 2020 tally was the highest figure recorded here since 2001, when Chicago logged only slightly more with 1,422, the city statistics show. Chicago also recorded an increase in 2021. In response, Lightfoot has repeatedly acknowledged that many Chicagoans don't feel safe, a dynamic that threatens public safety. I'm going to take the screen off because for whatever reason, the Tribune is not showing us images that I can see on my Safari browser. In response, Lightfoot has repeatedly acknowledged that many Chicagoans don't feel safe, a dynamic that threatens public safety, residents' mental health, and the city's economy. And she has repeatedly said her administration is working on the problem. Brown said carjackings are down by 23% so far this year, despite those other stats I just read, compared with the same time last year. We're only in February, Superintendent Brown. The department has found that half the arrests made in relation to stolen vehicles are teenagers and children under 18, some as young as 11, and many are repeat offenders. This has been a really disturbing statistic that we've been seeing in a lot of the stories we've been covering. Most recently, with the shooter of the 8-year-old girl, Ortega. Apparently, he'd been arrested for 3 carjackings and was out on parole without monitoring, which is when he decided to shoot her as well as the rest of that crowd not too many weeks ago. An 11-year-old boy was arrested January 26th by the Vehicular Carjacking Task Force after being identified as the person who took a car on the 1100th block of South Harding Avenue in Mount Greenwood neighborhood on November 19th, Brown said. Officers saw him get out of a stolen Chevrolet Malibu, and the boy was given a felony charge of aggravated vehicular carjacking with a weapon and possession of a stolen vehicle. Brown then listed off an extensive arrest history, especially for one belonging to an elementary school-age child. Brown noted arrests starting in 2020, most relating to stolen cars. This idea of resources for our young people is real, Brown said. It's critical to our success. Brown did not expand on what those resources might be, but Lightfoot added that she doesn't believe that children should be locked up with the key thrown away. That can't be the answer, she said. It has to be something more, but what also is true is that there's got to be accountability. Lightfoot said she has had conversations with the state's attorney and is reaching out to the public defenders, in addition to a working group that was created last fall to find ways to provide quote-unquote meaningful interventions for these children who may have challenging personal circumstances. It cannot be arrest and release, she said, because we're not solving any long-term problems by just doing that. Lightfoot said the city saw the rise in cases in 2020 and believed there was so here's where Lightfoot makes, I think, a leap in connection here to help serve one of her other political agendas, Kit. And here it is. And this is the subject of another article I'll move into as we talk about this one. Lightfoot said the city saw the rise in cases in 2020 and believed there was a correlation between remote learning and carjackings. So now it's the teachers who were pushing for remote learning that I would assume Lightfoot is then pointing the finger at, yeah? Because remote learning.
Again, this is Lightfoot trying to, again, make up some kind of fake story.
Yep.
Where is the factual information on this, Lightfoot, or did she just pull it out of her butt? Which is something that she probably did. I mean, you're going to connect online learning to carjacking. You've got to show evidence.
Remote at home learning. She said some parents left for work thinking their kid was attending their virtual classes when in reality they were on the streets. Okay. In some cases, I don't doubt that. But are you going to broad stroke the entire remote learning program in the middle of a pandemic when she was not getting the PPE to the schools, when they were not prepared for the spike this past winter? Even Martinez said that when he was asked in a YouTube video where they were talking about the controversy with the teachers that wanted some more downtime with remote learning until they got a handle on this. Her evidence is she said some parents left for work thinking their kids was attending their virtual classes when in reality they were on the streets. I asked, is there some new market for stolen cars? And unfortunately, that answer was no, that for many of these kids, some of whom had no prior involvement in the criminal justice system, this was pure boredom, Lightfoot said. Lightfoot's comments drew almost immediate criticism, as we would expect, from the Chicago Teachers Union, which called her remarks intellectually unsound and politically venal. Every child in our public school in Chicago deserves an apology from the mayor today, who claimed with zero evidence, and there's a link here. I'm going to open up that link and see what that zero evidence is that they're talking about, that there was a correlation between remote learning in 2020 and an increase in carjackings, which have been growing across the nation, the union said in a statement. To suggest that our students are somehow disproportionately responsible for these crimes is precisely the kind of scapegoating and smear tactics Black and brown students and adults have had to contend with in any discourse about crime for generations, said the union, which has repeatedly clashed with Lightfoot over whether there are adequate COVID-19 protections in schools. So the link to the article with the evidence is the same article that I'm reading. Interesting. Monday's announcement isn't the first time city officials have vowed to work on the issue publicly or privately. Alderman Greg Mitchell texted Lightfoot in July 2020 about several carjackings, armed robberies in Calumet Heights on the south side. He told her about kids stealing high-end luxury vehicles at gunpoint and using the stolen cars to commit additional carjackings. Those don't sound like bored kids that are not home doing their remote learning. You think?
Here's what I got to say about Lightfoot. She's quick to make another scapegoat, which is what she's good at. She's quick to make up another fake story and do more fear propaganda. Lightfoot clearly wants to still get back at the teachers union, especially for when they stood against her not only in 2019, but also even this year as well. And what's to be expected from a mayor that wants to blame everything and then have no answer or solution?
Yeah. Didn't Lightfoot give extra money to the CPD and now carjackings are up?
Yeah,
she did. The money didn't go into the schools or other relief. It went to the CPD, and carjackings are up. So quite naturally, whatever, man, students at home doing remote learning are to blame. Let me shift into the other article now that we've kind of gotten through the gist of the Tribune article, where Lightfoot doubles down. Lightfoot ties carjacking wave to remote learning, and this comes to us from Block Club Chicago, Tom Schuba and Andy Boyle. Mayor Lori Lightfoot on Monday linked the city's surge in carjackings to the shutdown of schools at the start of the pandemic, drawing swift condemnation from the Chicago Teachers Union. During a news conference touting the early success of specialized carjacking task force, Lightfoot claimed minors are largely to blame for the citywide crime trend she said has created pervasive fear among residents, and noting that's great. Make the residents fear the school kids now. In noting that the continued spike in carjackings began in 2020 when the pandemic took hold in Chicago, Lightfoot drew a direct correlation to the start of remote learning. Here's where the bullshit is. Okay, yeah, the pandemic started in 2020. Carjackings were up. What the fuck does that have to do with school kids? As opposed to criminals realizing there aren't as many people out because they're on lockdown, right? The police seem to be occupied elsewhere. And they just said in the other article, let me go back and quote that. Oh, it's not up anymore. They were talking about the crime stats. Having talked to state's attorneys who were dealing with these cases in juvenile court and others, a lot of parents went to work during the day thinking their teenagers were logged on for remote learning, only to find something else, she told reporters at the headquarters of the city's Office of Emergency Management and Communications. For many of these kids, some of whom had no prior involvement in the criminal justice system, this was pure boredom. Okay, was quoted in the other article. Every child in public schools deserves an apology. Tribune article noted that. Most other violent crimes were also up significantly by that point in 2022. 2020 also. Compared to 2019, all violent crime victimizations were almost up 11%. Specifically, homicides were up 55%, shooting victims were up 36%, and robbery victims were up almost 15%. So there's no correlation here to the onset of remote learning. As Lightfoot and Brown sought to highlight the progress the city has made addressing the carjacking wave, they both said minors have played an outsized role in the spike. Lightfoot specifically said that at least half of those arrested in recent carjackings are under 18. Let me go down farther in the article because we've covered a lot of this stuff in the Tribune article. And while Lightfoot stressed the need for accountability, she said the prosecution of minors has to be coupled with therapy and programming to help intervene and prevent them from reoffending. Without that, Brown acknowledged the police department won't be able to substantially decrease the number of carjackings. We don't want to be chasing our tail on this. We have small reductions, but really the big reduction is about recidivism strategy that works, he said, pushing for further cooperation with prosecutors. So, yeah, there you go. It's the kids who are at home remote learning that are carjacking. Ed Heller in the live chat. Lightfoot then heads to the nearest convenience store for a fountain beverage and once again struggles to grasp for straws. Yeah.
Okay, look, I find it so hard to believe that she's actually truly going to be running again. She has the audacity with, we need a new mayor. This mayor is starting to get way out of hand. From the costume character that she played, the Rona Destroyer and the census cowboy that she had in the background, to again going to war with the teachers union, giving money to the CPD, and then being
misallocating COVID funds, and I think there's still a freedom of information request to find out where all the funds went.
Yeah, there's also the fact that there's still lead in Chicago's drinking water and so much more. So this is the example of what we have to deal with. Just only a small. We're only scratching the surface of what we have to deal with in regards to Lightfoot. In many ways, at this point, what more can be said about her that hasn't been said already? She has to go. We need new leadership. She has served her time. She clearly has an ongoing war path against public schools. She doesn't care anything about corruption, be it from the police or from the politics in the city of Chicago. She's on board with gentrification. She's on board with turning a blind eye to environmental racism. She doesn't care about the people of this city, and she's willing to sell us down the river and make up stories after stories about what's going on and passing blame to everyone but herself. She is the mayor. She needs to start taking responsibility, but it's quite clear she has to go.
Well, Kit, you hit on a point that I thought I was thinking about when we were talking about where all the money that's been allocated to Chicago, where it's all gone, and what she's not doing, especially when it comes to the issues that you've reported on, Hardlands Media, and we've talked about here with environmental racism on the South and West sides, with the absolute abdication of these recycling plants and other polluters even having permits to operate to begin with.
Right. I mean, and again, she's on board with helping out, having Alderman Cardenas on, who is the alderman that's right now in charge of the Chicago Environmental Protection Agency. And since then, you have these industrial facilities all over the South and West Side still running as they are.
Okay, so I've got a breaking news link here from Ed Heller in the Slack. Let me pull this up here, and I'm going to be reading this as I open up the link. Stand by, everybody. This comes from the Sun Times. Oh, wait a minute. That's not the link. Is that the link? Carjacking wave. Oh, okay. No. This is I pulled up the wrong link. This comes from Twitter, and this is a rebuttal to Lightfoot's comments about as it relates to the remote learning beginning. I'm sorry, everybody. My screens are loading slow here. I'll pop this up in just a second. As the screen is loaded. This is coming from Twitter. Come on, man. All right. This comes from Nader Isa. Let me bring this up on screen here. And this was a Twitter link that was shared with us by Ed Heller. Great fact checking from Tom Schuba and Andy Boyle. City data shows Chicago had already seen a 68% rise in carjackings in the first 2 months of 2020, weeks before Chicago public school students went remote because of COVID-19. So there's the evidence you need. Yeah, Lightfoot was just pulling shit out of her ass, as she normally does.
As to be expected from Lightfoot.
Yeah. Art Medina, there may be bigger scandal that would solidify Lightfoot not rerunning. I don't know what it will be, but imagine what could be worse than that she's been part of. Good point. All right, let me bring up this. Let me close this out and bring up the other article that we were going to move into. Now, this kind of relates to the ongoing problem across the city with carjackings, and that is we've talked about this too a couple of times, the cameras that were installed on the Dan Ryan Expressway. So this came to us from Block Club Chicago, Madison Saavedra. Expressway shooting crackdown leads to 20 arrests, dozens of license plate cameras, and a boost in patrols. Now, you and I remarked previously that we were concerned with all these cameras being put on the Dan Ryan, that they might, suddenly shift gears in what the purpose was and going after speeders to generate revenue. But at least in its initial phases, Kit, it looks like this program is working so far. And I've got to give them credit for this. The article says anyone even thinking of committing violent crimes on our expressways ought to be on notice that they are more likely today than ever to get caught, Governor J.B. Pritzker said Monday. Nearly 24 people have been charged in connection to Chicago area expressway shootings as the state intensifies its crackdown on violent crime along highways. And I mentioned a moment ago, it's kind of related to carjackings, because we do know that, carjackings also happen probably at exit and entry ramps along the expressways. The 20 cases relate to shootings dating back several months and include charges for 4 homicides, Illinois State Police Director Brendan Kelly said at a Monday news conference with Governor J.B. Pritzker. But even as Pritzker and Kelly were promoting increased surveillance and monitoring of expressways to deter shootings, another person was shot on the Dan Ryan, according to the Sun-Times. Police responded to the shooting about 11 a.m. in the southbound lanes near Canal Port Avenue. The victim was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening wounds, according to the Sun-Times. No other information was immediately available. There were 273 expressway shootings in the Chicago area last year, more than double in 2020, according to Illinois State Police. Okay, so before I go on with the article, yeah, the Illinois State Police are more responsible for the expressways. But we're seeing a spike in crime over the past 2 years everywhere. And would you surmise, Kit, that has a lot to do with the pandemic?
Here's what's causing the rise in crime: the pandemic, lack of economic security, people being evicted from their homes and apartments, businesses being shut down, small business owners losing everything, college debt, medical debt. This has to deal with a government at the city, state, and federal level that has abandoned its citizens. This isn't only a Chicago problem. This is an American problem, a nationwide problem, due to the fact our politicians abandon us, but yet our corporate media has told us always that we have to trust them. This is what's causing the rise in crime. Our political party has abandoned the citizens, and now people are trying to survive in an environment that is understandably out of their control. Now, obviously,
openly hostile to them.
Now, here's the thing. I don't want anyone to turn to crime. Because the thing is, like, if you're going to go turn yourself to a life of crime, let's face it, somebody innocent will get hurt because of this. And it's clearly an irrational situation, but an irrational environment that people are living in, and in the hostile environment that we are living in, that's built purposely to be hostile towards the working poor, working class citizens. People have to survive somehow. And the thing is, this rise in crime has to deal with politicians that don't care. Remember, Lori Lightfoot's against UBI. She's against any kind of benefits to help out working class citizens in this city. So Mayor Lightfoot, how come you haven't used the TIF funds? How come you're abandoning our public schools? How come you're going to war against our teachers? How come you have this ongoing conflict with the Chicago Police Department? How come you're telling small business owners, especially on Michigan Avenue, that now they have to buzz potential customers in now, which can lead to whole other problems? How come you're turning a blind eye to the clear environmental racism that's happening in the city of Chicago? There's still lead in our drinking water. There's still unchecked corruption. There's still unchecked police corruption. And I could go on and on and on. And the thing is, Lightfoot, you are the one to blame for this right now. You could do something different. But yet, whenever you were faced with a challenge, especially during the George Floyd protests, what did you do, Lightfoot? You raised the bridges. What happened for Adam Toledo when he got shot? You preemptively raised the bridges. No matter what, Lightfoot, you constantly have it against the working class citizens of the city. But now you have the audacity to think that, oh, wait a minute, I could run again for mayor because the people like me. No, the people don't like you, Lightfoot. You only have sycophants and vote blue no matter who people, corporate Democrats, and lobby groups that will benefit from you being reelected as the mayor. You're Rahm 2.0. That's what you are. That's what you always will be.
She made a big show during the last budget address on how she was going to be distributing, I guess, what we could kind of identify as a UBI, a $500 a month UBI to really, really struggling families. But I think even that was like a limited amount of families. I don't remember how many families she said that would be allotted for, but I wonder if the money's going to be around by the time they actually integrate that program.
And then somehow
it's mismanaged everywhere else.
Lightfoot. Here's the thing. And and I hope I'm wrong about this, but Lightfoot's going to come up with something and say, well, we can't do the program because X, Y, and Z. That's Lightfoot. That's going to be her answer.
She'll come up with another excuse.
Yeah, that's what she's good at, making excuses. A failure of a leader.
As far as the rise in crime and the expressway shootings, they were more than double in 2020. In October, state police announced it would boost patrols along expressways and install 200 license plate readers to help police track down vehicles involved in these shootings. Nearly 100 automated license plate readers have already been installed along the Dan Ryan, with more to come, Kelly said. Drivers have had bullets come through their windshields, maiming or killing someone who's just trying to get from point A to point B, Governor Pritzker said. It can be anyone, an innocent child in the back seat, a friend, or you're driving home. Anyone even thinking of committing violent crimes on our expressways ought to be on notice that they are more likely today than ever before to get caught. We will hold nothing back to keep the public safe, Pritzker said. Kelly and Pritzker said they believe many of the shootings stem from gang violence that originates in neighborhoods and spills over the expressways. To your point, Kit. The shootings can be difficult to investigate since the crime scene is moving 70, 80, 90 miles per hour. Potential witnesses are hard to find if they continue driving, and evidence could be scattered over large territories. So, hey, at least they're acknowledging that it's related to gang activity. So maybe you want to shift gears into trying to reduce the gang activity? I don't know. Kelly said social media has also fueled a sort of dueling where people take their conflict out to the expressways. Kelly said people involved in these crimes may be aware of various private and public surveillance cameras, but may not think they could get caught along highways. They added technology which enables state police to get video of license plates as well as still images will change that, Kelly said. If you engage in violence on our expressways, you'll be identified, you'll be found, you'll be arrested, and you'll be charged with the most serious offense under the law, Kelly said. Well, this is going to be an ongoing story to follow and really monitor and see if those cameras are going to be even more valuable in catching those committing crimes, or if they can't find the criminals and then suddenly decide, well, let's use them to start catching speeders. I don't know. We've been somewhat cynical about what the ultimate use of those cameras are going to be once they're installed, because they couldn't like put them up there and say that it's going to be for speeders. They had to have another reason to put them up.
Yeah,
and the reason was shootings on the expressway. So,
since Lightfoot's taken charge of this city, things have gotten progressively worse. Nothing's gotten better for the working class citizen of Chicago. We have been the ones constantly being abused by a mayor who's been implementing policies that are more or less the same as Rahm Emanuel. That's Lightfoot. Only except she's not as well connected as Rahm Emanuel, and Lightfoot is still, once again, trying to, I guess, run on the idea that she's still popular with the people. She's not.
Yeah. Well, Kit, she's clearly abandoned specific areas of the city. And as our next story will demonstrate to that point, how about this? Citing plow tracker, Chicagoans say the city shafted the South Side on snow removal. Again, comedian Lisa Beasley's video showing a plowing hole across the South Side went viral. City officials said the publicly posted tracker may not always reflect the true number of trucks plowing the streets. After heavy snowfall blanketed Chicago last week, Southsiders created viral videos and data-driven maps questioning the city's plowing policies and priorities. The storm began February 1st and dropped nearly a foot of snow on parts of Chicago through Thursday. The South Side and South suburbs received the most snow in Chicago, with 11 inches falling near Midway International Airport, according to the National Weather Service. By contrast, 5.6 inches fell near O'Hare International Airport on the city's northwest side. Lisa Beasley, a Grand Boulevard-based comedian and actor, posted a video Wednesday showing apparent gaps in where the city's plows were working during the snowfall. Beasley pointed out a huge gap on the South Side, and the video went viral. Let me see if I can play this here.
Y'all, so there's a plow tracker. You can track and see where the plows are. There's a big hole where plows are not. Do you know where that is? Let's keep zooming in. It's the South Side, 71st. It's Arbor Gresham. It's Eaglewood. So once again, here's where the plows are. We're going to examine this hole. Let's examine this hole. Auburn Gresham. Wow, people who do news, y'all are really talented. 55th, 31st, 47th, a major street. This is
Jesus Christ.
I was just about to get into my Lori Lightfoot get up and just flame her, and now, JB, can you help us? Can somebody help us out here? Hey, Lion said you came out here first. I'm looking at it.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Lisa Beasley is the Lori Lightfoot impressionist here in Chicago.
You know what? I
recognize her.
Yes, because here's the thing. Like, one, I would love to have her on Chicago Corner. We got to reach out there and have her on the show. And number two, if we can ever get the caricature of Lightfoot on the show.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'd like to invite her Lori Lightfoot on.
Well, okay, let's first let's bring the comedian on to hear her and then maybe somewhere down the road we could bring the Lightfoot character maybe on the show too. So there we go. I have to say this. First of all, I might be smiling, but I am so goddamn pissed off. I'm a Southsider. And I'm seeing this happen in my neighborhood too. And to my friends who live on the South Side too. Because, you know, the thing is, we need to use the roads, but yet we see this all the time. The city of Chicago will always abandon the South and West Side neighborhoods. People here are also the beating heart of Chicago. We have been here for generations. My family has been living in Chicago for generations, and specifically in the Black and brown communities all across the South and West Side areas of Chicago. You know, these communities are effectively abandoned, and Lori Lightfoot is okay with this. This is the mayor's administration. Her administration is okay with abandoning the Southsiders and Westsiders of the city of Chicago. That big hole, that's something we are all too familiar with because this city always abandons the South Side. Always. I remember as a kid, we had a school programming where we could go up to the North Side. And I remember being driven up there once by my grandpa. And he said, how come these streets are always being swept up? How come these North Side streets are always looking so clean when we rarely get them? Why is this happening? Why is that happening? Why does it look like this? The city of Chicago is a hyper-segregated city. And when it comes down to these winter months where people need to get into their cars or their bikes or even take public transportation, there are sidewalks and streets that are effectively abandoned, that people are struggling just to cross day in, day and night. I've been seeing this all my life. Mayor Lightfoot, you're just like Rahm Emanuel, abandoning the city. Mayor Lightfoot, you're just like, again, Mayor Daley Jr. This is a policy that's been going on for a very, very long time. So Lightfoot, what's your excuse this time? What? Are the snowplowers just doing online learning on how to drive a snowplow? What's your excuse, Lightfoot? Oh, no, they don't know how to drive the snowplows? The roads are too tight? They don't know where the South Side's at? Lightfoot, I'm tired of your excuses because again, it's shit. That's what she's spewing out. Shit is coming out of her fucking mouth. I am a proud Southsider in the city of Chicago. And our mayor, just like Rahm Emanuel, just like Mayor Daley Jr., abandoned us again. This is not acceptable. I know for a fact if this happened on the North Side or downtown Chicago, people would rage. Southsiders and Westsiders have been dealing this for decades upon end. So what's your excuse, Lightfoot? I can't wait to hear it.
Well, let me get back to the article because I think there's an explanation given by the city regarding this, because Beasley, famous for her Lori Lightfoot character satirizing Mayor Lori Lightfoot, said she discovered the Department of Streets and Sanitation's plow tracker early Wednesday afternoon as she planned a skit featuring the character. As Beasley researched, she came across a story about Governor J.B. Pritzker's disaster declaration ahead of the storm that included a link to the city's plow tracker. I didn't go looking for a hole on the South Side, but that's when I saw the hole, Beasley said. I zoomed in and said, oh, snap, this is real. That was so hurtful for me to see, and I didn't even want to make fun of it. I just did the video as myself, Beasley said. Beasley did eventually make light of the situation with a series of videos featuring Lori where she uses salt and pepper packets and a dustpan to clear unplowed streets. But the underlying issue of equity in city services is no laughing matter, Beasley said. What's interesting about how I satirize the mayor or how I bring attention to things in Chicago, a lot of it is really from a selfish citizen standpoint, Beasley said. I don't need any attention from being funny. I'm literally a professional comedian. I just wanted the street plowed. I just wanted people to know there's a plow tracker. When asked about the video, Streets and Sanitation spokesperson Mimi Simon said the publicly posted tracker may not always reflect the true number of trucks plowing city streets, even though Lisa put a camera right outside her window. You could see the streets weren't plowed, where she lived anyway. In addition, quote, shift changes occur throughout the day where drivers head to their assigned snow lots and new driver teams begin working, Simon said. There may also be instances when the snowplow is actively working, but the activity is not reflected due to GPS technical and or connectivity issues. It's the GPS connectivity issues, Kit. That's why the plow tracker is not updated, because GPS isn't working.
Oh, really?
GPS
isn't working.
It's working in all the other neighborhoods. It's working in all the other neighborhoods, though.
It's in all the other neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Really? Wow, way to pull that out of your ass. Holy fuck. Listen, folks. Why is it that when I did my 2 tours in Iraq, especially after my second tour, we had a GPS system where we could track convoys and some of our other fellow patrols that were happening all across a satellite map in our Humvees? How come those were able to work in a war zone area, right? We were able to track that. And that was from 2000.
Yeah, that's back
in 6.
Yeah.
2006, 2007. Huh. Wow, I guess that technology was able to figure out, gee, Lightfoot, in this day and age of 2022, huh? You mean to tell me the city of Chicago never really updated stuff? So that means all the stuff on the north side is looking good. Then, gee, Lightfoot, answer me this, Lightfoot. How come the neighborhoods on the south side, those streets still aren't plowed, but somehow they were magically, out of the blue, still there? Get the fuck out of here. God damn, what a piece of crap.
You want to know what else I heard at the time that they mentioned in the article here? You know, schools were open. There was no snow day, but you want to know what else was interesting, Kit? None of the streets around the schools were plowed that morning.
Huh. Wow, Lightfoot.
It's all across the city. Hours after Beasley posted her video, Chicago Public Schools parent and software developer Anthony Moser used public databases to determine which schools had seen their blocks plowed in the day after the snow started falling. Combining plow tracker and district data, Moser determined plow trucks had not passed down the blocks of 309 schools as of the end of the day on Wednesday.
Are they all public schools?
Yeah, of course. Of course they're all public schools. When Moser updated the data 9 a.m. Thursday, by which time nearly all CPS students would have begun their second day of class following the winter storm, trucks still hadn't passed 131 of those schools. And there's his tweet.
This is what I was trying to tell people, especially early on when the teachers' union strike was happening. Sorry.
Just 1 second. I don't want. But look at all the orange dots.
Can we zoom in on that if we can?
Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more. Hang on. Hopefully I will.
There seems to be a map option where you could.
Here we go. Okay. So you see all of those orange dots? Yeah. Every orange dot on that map, Kid, is a school that was not visited by a snowplow. That's a lot of orange dots, isn't it? I mean, to put it in perspective, what 309 unplowed schools look like across the city. There you go.
Lightfoot. That's your name, Lightfoot. Always light on the issues, always trying to tiptoe around eggshells, always trying to make excuses. But the thing is, you're a piss poor leader and so petty. This is the stuff I was telling people early on when the teachers union was did that walkout, that strike, when they wanted to still do the remote learning. Because what I was trying to tell people, especially all across social media, everyone's trying to make this big, in school learning or Lightfoot's doing the right thing. No. When you find yourself agreeing with Lightfoot, stop, call up the people at Harlan's Media and Chicago Corner and ask, hey, I find myself agreeing with a Chicago politician. What is wrong? And we'll be more than happy to educate you on why you're wrong with agreeing with the Chicago politician, especially Mayor Lori Lightfoot. Mayor Lightfoot is thin-skinned. She is petty. She is vindictive. She is an incompetent leader. She doesn't care about the people of the city of Chicago, and she has this ongoing warpath towards the public schools. What is her fucking excuse with abandoning these schools and not having them plowed? Why wasn't that the first priority to help out the young people so they get to the education? Because she was so gung ho about we gotta open the schools up. We gotta open the schools up. Well, the kids can't get to the school, Lightfoot, because the streets are so crowded with snow. How do you expect them to get there? What's your excuse for that, Lightfoot? Oh, you probably can't come up with that because you know what? You're a piss poor leader, Lightfoot. That's what you always will be. There's no excuse for it. You gotta be voted out. And the thing is, everyone in those communities should be demanding her resignation and should be doing everything they can to make sure she is not reelected as the mayor of Chicago.
Kit, I'm really concerned you're about to stroke out. Take a breath.
I'm fucking pissed off is what it is.
I guess I've just gotten to the point where I can't even get outraged about it anymore because this is just, I'd be outraged all the time and my head would explode. Now, don't you think that those 300 dots on the map make a really good point and case for remote learning? Kids can't get to the schools.
Can't get to the schools, Lightfoot.
Lightfoot's school and sanitation and the plows pretty much made the point for remote learning right there.
Oh, by the way, too, again, hey, Lightfoot, especially in the north side areas, gee, if the GPS was working so good, especially in the north side areas, how come those snow plows didn't go to the public schools? What stopped them, Lightfoot? Did you make a phone call? Did you give an order?
One wonders. One can't help but wonder. Moser's son goes to preschool in McKinley Park while his daughter attends elementary school in Brighton Park, both on the city's south side. Getting them to their schools was a mess, and he had to push someone's car out of the snow in front of his son's school. It's not like they missed one or two schools. You're looking at almost half the district, Moser said, when you consider how many of them were not plowed before school started. And remember, Kit, wasn't it 2 days that the governor was claiming this was going to be a disaster zone? We had 2 days advance notice. 2 days advance notice. When you consider how many of them were not plowed before school started, or like my daughter's school, were only plowed just after midnight Wednesday as the snow continued to fall, it's a major failure. Though Moser faced challenges getting his kids to their south side schools, the map doesn't show clear-cut disparities in plowing the community, Moser said. Rather, it indicates the city should have worked to ensure roads near schools were plowed citywide, and the district should have called a snow day, he said. From both the data the city has provided and the anecdotal stories of people around the city, in some cases sharing photos and other things, all of it suggests that they did not do a good job of making sure the students and faculty could get to schools safely, Moser said. The city's immediate priorities during a winter storm are to plow arterial routes and Jean-Baptiste Point du Sable Lakeshore Drive. They identify it in this article, Kit. Remember that priority? We needed to spend millions renaming Lakeshore Drive. Jean-Baptiste Point du Sable Lakeshore Drive. It takes up literally half the line in this paragraph on this page that I'm reading from. To ensure they are safe and passable, Simon said. Doesn't that just kind of illustrate priorities right there? How much time? I mean, okay, separate point, but that was a priority. Not getting snow plows out along with arterial passages to make sure the schools were accessible. During that initial phase, I just can't believe they threw Jean-Baptiste Point du Sable Lakeshore Drive in the article. During that initial phase, the streets and sanitation.
I still call it Lakeshore Drive. I'm sorry.
I do too. I mean, I'm just reading point for point from the, and I should have just skipped over the Jean-Baptiste Point du Sable Lakeshore, but it was literally like slapped me in the face since I've been so vocal about that in the past. During the initial phase, the Streets and Sanitation Department instructs plow truck drivers to prioritize vital areas like schools near the main roads where possible, Simon said. City trucks transition to plowing residential streets as soon as the snow stops and the main thoroughfares are safe and passable, Simon said. The department should just adjust its policy and make it an explicit priority to plow roads with schools on snowy days where the district doesn't cancel classes, Moser said. I think that's the key sentence there. When the district does not cancel classes, those school zones need to be a priority, along with the main thoroughfares. I understand some of these policy choices can be difficult, but they need to be spelled out, he said. If you're going to require people to go to schools, you need to make it possible. It's a real simple request. Pick up the snow, he said. We're not saying come investigate this murder or fix this food desert. We're like, yo, you can't even get the snow? The Streets and Sanitation Department is working to revamp the plow tracker system for the next winter season, Simon said. Yeah, I'm sure to make sure that we don't see all those dead zones where we see all of this, where the GPS has failed to note that those school zones were probably actually plowed.
Okay, so hold on. Okay, so we got the map of where the public schools are at. Can we pull up that map of the GPS where the snow plows are at? Do we have that map available? Or not?
Well, it was in the video that Lisa. Yeah, let me run the video and we can see it behind her.
Okay.
Let me see if I can
It's a
jump
plow
ahead.
tracker. You can track and see where the plows are. There's a big hole
All right, let's pause it.
where plows are not.
Okay, well, I mean, obviously that's the south side. If we could go back maybe 2 seconds or 3 seconds back, you could see where the there it is, right there. Leave it right there. Leave it right there. Look at all those snow plows.
The GPS works. The GPS is working.
Huh.
Wow.
Gee.
And
Huh. Wow. Lightfoot. You know what? I'm going to quote whatever man who says Lightfoot's new excuse is going to be, when I was your age, we would climb over the hills. When I was your age, we used to skip rocks, Jack. Now I made Lightfoot sound like Joe Biden.
Oh, okay. Good insider information here, Kit, from Arturo. When I worked workman's comp for City Hall, we were adjusting claims from plowers who had been directed and ordered to plow around certain blocks, etc. That's straight from somebody who worked inside city government.
They're following orders. The Nuremberg defense. That's Lightfoot. I'm only issuing them orders. That's what Lightfoot's doing. She's the only one just giving orders right there, and everyone's following orders. They're following orders. Just following orders. Following orders.
I blame the failure of GPS on remote learning. All right, so the tracker was disabled as of Monday evening. It included a note saying it will be activated during major snow events. Now that they've been caught, now they've disabled the tracker. Monday evening, this past Monday evening.
Wow. Welcome to Chicago Corner, folks. We have fun here all the time.
Not only are the streets covered up, but the snow tracker's being covered up now too. See what I did there?
It's all one big cover up, right? And Lightfoot is making sure everything is receding up to the north side, just like her hairline.
Good point. All right, let's go into
wait. Who did I take? I want to give credit because somebody, AG said that the plows keep going north like her hairline. There we go. I took your joke, AG. I took your joke, AG. I'm sorry. I stole your joke. Your joke.
Oh, yeah, I missed that in the live chat. I didn't see that he put
and then E. Heller says, there's shoulders cat, there's shoulders GPS snow tracker. Oreo, what is your comment on this?
Oh, Oreo's sleeping behind me now. I don't think he has a comment. I think he got wiped. He got worn out from all this news that we're talking about here.
Yeah, he's like
excuses and but I think that this is the most damning insight though. I know Art worked at City Hall, so I know this is a legitimate source right there. They were directed and ordered to plow around certain blocks.
Following orders, just following orders.
All right, so let's get to let's get to this next story before I go to my favorite story to close out the show.
Okay.
So I found this article interesting, and I like this, and I would hope that more wards across the city would integrate this kind of interaction with their residents. So this comes from Ariel Perella Orelli at Block Club Chicago. How should the 39th Ward spend $500,000? Vote for protected bike lanes, new nature, play space, and more. Residents can choose among school playground improvements, protected bike lanes, street resurfacing, community markers, and more. Now, there's a lot to be done ward to ward, and I would hope that there would be funds to cover all that stuff. But at the very least, I think it's interesting and cool that Alderman Samantha Nugent of the 39th is involving her residents in these decisions or allowing them to vote on them. Let's just hope people come out and vote, right? Residents of the 39th Ward can help decide how to spend city money for neighborhood projects through the ward's participatory budgeting process. Alderman Samantha Nugent, this is a picture here of Gompers Park, which is in the 39th Ward. Alderman Samantha Nugent of the 39th has earmarked $500,000 from aldermanic menu money, funds aldermen allocate to meet needs across the ward. I guess it's kind of like an alderman's TIF fund. The funds are meant to address neighborhood issues like street paving, sidewalk repairs, bike lanes, and beautification. Residents can now vote for projects they want the money to go toward. Members of the participatory budgeting committee selected 16 proposals from more than 85 ideas submitted by the community last year. Some of this year's projects: $150,000 to repave the concrete, install a new privacy fence and weatherproof picnic tables at Peterson School's play space, also used for North Park Community Market. $400,000 to install protected bike lanes and safety measures on a 2-mile stretch of West Bryn Mawr to connect the North Shore Channel Trail and the Skokie Valley Line Trail. That's a lot of money for bike trails. I personally, if you remember my commentary last show about the bicyclists all across the city, that might be a little bit more. That money could be allocated elsewhere in the community, but that's just my opinion. $50,000 for a nature play space at Little Gompers Park, $30,000 for Edgebrook Community Identifiers, $100,000 for improvements to the Solomon Elementary School playground. Other projects include street resurfacing, tennis court upgrades, sidewalk repairs, train bridge beautification, and more. I would say that if I were a resident there, my priority would be street resurfacing and sidewalk repairs, but that's just me. To see a full list of the proposals and to vote, click here. Voting ends Friday, and winners will be announced next week. Anyone 14 and older can vote. The alderman said in her newsletter, residents can also visit the ward office at 4200 West Lawrence Avenue to vote by paper ballot. So this is Alderman Nugent of the 39th, and I don't know. I mean, I give her props for inviting the community to make some of these decisions.
Well, it's a rarity in which an alderman actually sitting down talking to the community, but all right. Seems reasonable enough.
I wanted to look into a little bit more of Nugent's background. See what else, what other initiatives she's been involved in here in Chicago. I pulled it up again. I'm not seeing there doesn't seem to be any scandals. There doesn't seem to be any questionable allegiances or activities, at least as far as I could find. So honestly, this is the first time she's come across my radar, and I hope other older people across the city follow this lead, because I think it's a good idea to involve the residents a little bit more in the planning. All right, so here's my favorite story of the evening. Let me pull up the link to read from. We kind of talked about this last week, Kit. Oh, wait, before I go into the final story, I want to share, Ed was able to share some information on what we were talking about before with the program that allocates $500 per month to certain Chicago families. So here he shared this link: Chicago approves guaranteed basic income pilot project. Okay, so what were the details? The Chicago City Council has passed a 2022 budget that includes a guaranteed basic income pilot program. This program will provide 5,000 Chicago households with $500 a month for a year. The program's funding comes from the $2 billion in COVID-19 relief money allocated to Chicago via the American Rescue Plan. This program, one of the nation's largest, aims to relieve financial burdens on the families hardest hit by COVID-19. So it's 5,000 Chicago households that will be in play for those funds. Thank you, E. Heller, for sharing that. And let me bring up our last story of the evening that I will also read from.
Super Patriot, you're more than welcome to visit the city of Chicago. There's a lot to do here, and plus Chicago is also connected to the many wonderful sister cities all across this wonderful planet of ours. I've recently found out that we have a great list of fellow sister cities that call themselves our sister cities of Chicago, actually. So there you go.
All right. I know I'm not going to get a lot of love for this, Kit, but here's the story.
Oh boy,
move your dibs or the city will throw them away Friday.
Oh no, the end of the dibs, the end of the little, I like, here's the thing, okay? Let me just explain why I kind of like, I understand there are days where I don't like it. Okay. There are days where I don't like it, right? When I have to unload groceries because I don't want to go from the garage to the house, but whatever. I got a space to park my car in the garage, right? But there are days where I don't like it, but sometimes I find it hilarious because it's like a mini decoration holiday that we have here in the city of Chicago. It's sort of like, what will people put out there? Well, and sometimes you got the most creative designs out there. Like it's just I kind of sort of like it.
You know what I see here? I see someone in a junk truck going up and down streets to pick up inventory for a really large yard sale. That's what.
Yes.
So the city's workers are gearing up to start clearing dibs items from the streets. Departments of Streets and Sanitation crews will begin clearing objects used for dibs from city streets on Friday. That's this Friday, according to a news release. Yeah, just looked at the date. This came from Kelly Bauer the other day, February 8th. The items will be grabbed by workers on their usual garbage collection routes. Residents should remove their chairs, cones, and other objects they wish to keep, according to the agency. We ask residents to please be neighborly and pick up any personal items they may currently have on the street, Department Commissioner Cole Stallers said in the news release. People who have a concern about dibs can also report it to 311. Dibs is a controversial Chicago tradition wherein residents leave objects like tables, chairs, and traffic cones in parking spaces they've shoveled out after a big snow. But the last snowstorm the city saw last week, the streets have largely been cleared of snow. You know, I remember last year, one of my favorite, as much as I think dibs is like really, really shitty. I saw some pictures of people that had used the cardboard cutout of Lori Lightfoot when COVID began to guard their parking spots. I've seen baby Jesus and Mother Mary and Joseph nativity scenes guarding dibs.
Oh yeah, you can't hurt baby Jesus, but once cardboard Lightfoot sees you, she's like, get your ass away from that parking spot.
Get away from that parking spot, I said.
Get away from that parking spot.
I recommend you reroute yourself to Jean-Baptiste Point to Saab Lakeshore Drive.
Yeah, there you go. Oh my God.
Arturo's got a great idea. $1 million idea, a cardboard box in the shape of your mayor, think a piñata, and build it as a dibs to use, and then it gets thrown out and symbolically you threw out the mayor. I think that's $1 million idea, Art, and I think I might be able to help you source where you can get those piñatas made. So hit me up privately in direct message. All right, so whatever, man. Going back to our last story on the UBI, $500 with no strings, with strings attached is no UBI. $500 is too late now. Yep. Will this be instituted primarily on the South Side? That's going to be a very good question, True Democracy Now. We're going to have to wait and watch. Now, E. Heller asks, what strings in relation to what Whatever Man asks. So I don't know if Whatever Man read the article. Let me go back there. I don't know if there are any strings attached to Whatever Man. Actually, I don't think there are any strings attached. We're just going to have to see how they decide. Well, maybe E. Heller, maybe what he means is what are the strings attached? How are they going to determine which families are in the greatest need for that $500 a month? How are these 5,000 families? Is it going to be a lottery? Are you going to have to apply for it? Are the strings going to have to do with how the city assesses and evaluates your need? That might be what, and I don't mean to speak for Whatever Man, but that's how I would possibly assess what are the possible strings attached. Because with all of the financial relief programs that came out these past 2 years because of the pandemic, whether it was small business association loans, artist grants, business grants, there were long application processes. And I can tell you from my own experience, even after filling out some of those applications and actually being legitimately, not liable, legitimately, oh, help me out here. What's the kit? Not active, legitimate. I had a legitimate need, legitimately claimed. I was denied. So there are a lot of requirements to go through as far as how those payments are, that program is going to be applied. Anyway, Whatever Man, the strings that you have to be within a certain income to qualify. Okay. E. Heller says maybe they're choosing people based on means testing, in which case that might be considered strings.
Yeah.
Good point, guys. All right, Kit, as we draw the show to a close, anything else you want to share with our viewers before we head out of here?
Well, a lot of good things are happening at the 99 Perspectives studio. Hardlands Media, we are on the up and up of regrowing, but again, same thing with Hardlands Media and Chicago Corner. Please, everyone, double check and triple check that you are still subscribed to both our channels.
Hey, we hit 1,100 subscribers. I found out today as I was prepping the show. We're at 1,100.
And very close to doing so much more here at Chicago Corner, and especially as we are growing this channel and Hardlands Media. There's a lot of other projects that we are working at the studio. We just sent our first submission in for Hardlands Media to be on CAN TV. Our radio station that Lainey Peterson is working on is starting to be becoming the up and ups and starting to come into action. So that's real good. I'm really excited about everything that's happening this year And I wish all of you much success for 2022. Please be safe out there. And I think, Jerry, you should close us out because I got nothing but good things to say, and may they stay that way.
It just hit me the word I was struggling for a moment ago when I was talking about applying for grants or city financial aid. I was legitimately qualified. That was the word I was looking for. And of course, it came to me after. So just to wrap that out, otherwise it would bug me all night long. I didn't remember what the right word was. All right, guys, listen, Kit, thanks for sharing that. To everyone else, thanks for joining us tonight. We will see you again on Friday. Until then, please be safe this week. Be careful, watch out for each other, be vigilant, and remember, if it's happening on the streets, you'll hear about it from Kit and I here on Chicago Corner. Peace out, guys. Stay safe.